noticed any of the signs we're about to share, do not ignore them. These symptoms may seem small, but they could be early warnings of something deeper, signals from your body telling you it's time to get checked and make important lifestyle changes, starting today, right now. So please, stay with us and watch this video all the way to the end. What you learn could protect your health, your independence, and your future. And before we dive in, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below. Number 1. Persistent itching on the lower legs. One of the deepest fears in aging is the thought that something small and ordinary may actually hide a greater danger. An itch on the lower leg seems harmless, something explained by dry winter air, a change in detergent, or simple aging skin. Yet medical science has shown that when an itch persists for weeks, does not respond to lotion, and offers no clear explanation, it can be more than a surface issue. For older adults, especially those over 60, persistent itching on the shins and calves is not always about the skin itself, but may be an early sign of an internal condition that requires medical attention. Research has provided compelling evidence for this link. A large-scale study conducted at Johns Hopkins involving more than 16,000 patients found that individuals who reported chronic, unexplained itching were more likely to be diagnosed later with internal cancers compared with those without this symptom. The American Cancer Society has reported that approximately 30% of patients diagnosed with lymphoma experienced persistent itching in the months before their diagnosis. In these cases, the itch was not random, but a biological response to cancer cells releasing inflammatory substances, known as cytokines, into the bloodstream. These chemicals irritate sensory nerves under the skin, producing a deep, relentless itch, even when the surface looks perfectly normal. Stories from real people illustrate the lesson more vividly than statistics alone. George, a 75-year-old veteran from Ohio, lived with nightly itching on the front of his legs for almost 6 months. There was no rash, no visible dryness, and no new soap or laundry detergent to blame. He tried creams and dietary changes, but nothing brought relief. His doctor suggested eczema at first, yet George felt something was wrong. Eventually, blood tests revealed abnormal white blood cell counts, and imaging showed enlarged lymph nodes in his chest. The diagnosis was Hodgkin's lymphoma. Looking back, George often said, the itch came first, long before anything else. His persistence in seeking help gave him the chance for early treatment, and he credited his survival to the simple fact that he refused to ignore what seemed like a small inconvenience. The biology explains why ignoring such a symptom is risky. Lymphomas are cancers of the lymphatic system, the body's essential defense network. As abnormal cells multiply, they disrupt immune balance and stimulate nerve endings in the lower limbs. The result is a burning or crawling sensation that creams cannot soothe. In many cases, the skin remains clear, which makes the symptom easy to dismiss. Yet, this type of itching has been described repeatedly in medical journals as one of the earliest and most subtle warning signs. The crucial message is one of safety and empowerment. Not every itch on the legs signals cancer, and most are caused by dryness, mild allergies, or circulation issues. But when the itch is relentless, lasting more than 6 weeks, especially if it is worse at night and resists ordinary treatments, it deserves serious attention. Ignoring it out of fear or assuming it is part of normal aging can mean losing the chance to intervene early. For older adults, vigilance is not panic, but wisdom. Practical steps can turn this knowledge into protection. Keeping a small health journal at home to track when and where the itch occurs, how long it lasts, and what has been tried for relief gives doctors important information. Bringing this record to a medical appointment helps providers determine whether to order simple blood work, imaging, or referral to a specialist. Asking a physician directly, could this itching be something more, opens the door to early detection. In medicine, earlier often means safer and more effective treatment. The lesson drawn from both science and real stories is clear. A persistent itch on the lower leg should never be ignored, especially in older age. It may be a whisper from the body that deserves respect and response. The habit of observing carefully, recording symptoms, and communicating them to a trusted healthcare provider can transform fear into action. This is not about living in constant worry, but about honoring the body's signals and protecting the years ahead. The change in behavior that matters most is simple yet powerful. When an itch lingers without explanation, let it be a reminder to listen closely, speak up, and seek answers. In doing so, one small act of attention may preserve health, independence, and the precious gift of time with loved ones. Number 2. Persistent itching on the upper back between the shoulder blades. The ending of this story is both hopeful and unforgettable. A 70-year-old woman named Linda from Texas is alive today because she listened to what she once thought was nothing more than a trivial annoyance. For nearly 4 months, she felt a strange, deep itch between her shoulder blades, an itch that no lotion, mattress change, or back scratcher could ease. Her skin looked normal, but her instincts told her something was not right. When she finally spoke with her doctor, blood work revealed elevated liver enzymes. Imaging tests soon showed a small pancreatic tumor pressing against her bile duct. Caught early, it was removed, and her treatment was successful. Linda often reflects on how something as ordinary as an itch became the reason she gained more years with her grandchildren. This type of story may sound unusual, but the medical science behind it is clear. The pancreas, though located deep in the abdomen, is closely linked to bile ducts that drain into the digestive system. When a tumor begins to grow, it can obstruct these ducts, leading to the accumulation of bile salts in the bloodstream. These bile salts are highly irritating to the sensory nerves beneath the skin, and they often trigger itching in very specific regions of the body. For reasons not yet fully understood, one of the most common locations is the upper back, right between the shoulder blades. Several studies conducted in the United States have confirmed this connection. Data from the National Cancer Institute show that pruritus, or unexplained itching, is an early symptom in up to 20% of patients with pancreatic and hepatobiliary cancers. In some cases, the itching appears months before classic signs like abdominal pain, jaundice, or weight loss. This makes the symptom particularly valuable as an early warning. Physicians at the Mayo Clinic have noted that older adults who report chronic, localized itching in the back, especially without any skin changes, should be carefully evaluated for possible biliary obstruction. The challenge is that the sensation feels like it comes from beneath the skin, what many patients describe as a phantom itch. Unlike dryness or irritation caused by soap or clothing, this itch is persistent, resistant to surface treatments, and often worse at night. Because it appears in such a common area, it is easily dismissed as poor posture, friction from a chair, or even an old shirt tag. This dismissal can delay diagnosis for months, which is why education is critical. The practical advice is straightforward. If an itch in the upper back persists longer than 6 weeks, especially when it feels deep, resists skin creams, and offers no visible rash, it should be discussed with a physician. Keeping track of other subtle changes such as darker urine, pale stools, or unexplained fatigue can provide doctors with important context. Even without additional symptoms, asking directly for liver function tests or imaging may uncover problems at a stage when treatment is still effective. The positive message in all of this is safety and empowerment. Most back itching in older adults is not cancer. Often it is dryness, arthritis-related nerve irritation, or tension in the muscles. But when the itch is unrelenting and unusual, speaking up can make the difference between early treatment and late discovery. Awareness transforms fear into action, and action saves lives. The behavioral change to embrace is simple. Do not dismiss persistent itching in the upper back as trivial. Write it down, monitor it, and bring it to a doctor's attention if it lingers. The lesson is that the body speaks in whispers before it cries out, and listening to those whispers offers the chance to protect health, extend independence, and continue the story with family and loved ones. Number 3. Persistent itching on the scalp. A clear warning must be stated at the beginning. When itching on the scalp becomes persistent, resistant to every shampoo or oil, and shows no visible dandruff or redness, it cannot simply be dismissed as dryness or aging skin. From a medical perspective, Such an itch may be the first quiet sign of an underlying systemic condition, including blood cancers like leukemia or chronic lymphocytic lymphoma, or even skin cancers developing on the scalp itself. The danger lies in how easily this symptom is ignored, brushed aside as something ordinary, while beneath the surface significant changes may already be unfolding. The biology of this phenomenon is well understood. In blood cancers such as leukemia, abnormal white blood cells disrupt normal immune activity. This dysregulation creates inflammatory signals that irritate nerves beneath the skin, producing sensations often described as crawling, tingling, or burning. Unlike simple dryness, this type of itch is inconsistent, moving from one spot to another, and does not improve with common treatments. In cases of skin cancer on the scalp, particularly in areas with thinning hair, the earliest sign is often a small, itchy patch that may later develop into a lesion. Scientific studies reinforce the seriousness of this connection. Research published by the National Cancer Institute revealed that pruritus of the scalp, when chronic and unexplained, was reported in approximately 15 to 20% of patients later diagnosed with hematologic malignancies. Dermatologists at Johns Hopkins have also emphasized that the scalp is one of the most common sites where early skin cancers are overlooked, precisely because people assume itching there is trivial. For older adults, especially men with balding patterns or women with thinning hair, regular scalp checks are considered an important preventive measure. Henry, a 73-year-old retired carpenter, illustrates how critical this awareness can be. He experienced an itch on his scalp every afternoon that felt like ants crawling under the skin. He switched shampoos, stopped wearing his work cap, and even shaved his head, but nothing made it stop. Finally, during a routine checkup for fatigue, his physician ordered a blood panel. The results showed an abnormal increase in white blood cells, and further testing confirmed early-stage chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Henry later reflected, "The itch was small, but it was the only voice my body had at the time." His story underscores the importance of not dismissing symptoms simply because they seem minor. The key message is not to create fear, but to provide a sense of safety through awareness. Most scalp itching in older adults is indeed due to dryness, weather changes, or seborrheic dermatitis. However, the difference lies in persistence and resistance. When itching lingers for more than 6 weeks without visible irritation and does not respond to treatment, it deserves evaluation by a physician. Asking a family member, caregiver, or even a hairstylist to check the scalp regularly is a simple but powerful preventive action. The lesson to carry forward is one of proactive vigilance. The scalp may not be easy to examine alone, but neglecting it is a mistake. Regular observation, documentation of symptoms, and open communication with healthcare providers can transform uncertainty into clarity. The change in behavior that protects health is straightforward. Do not dismiss a stubborn scalp itch, and do not be embarrassed to ask for help in checking areas that cannot be seen. What seems like a small irritation may, in reality, be the first step toward early detection and effective care, ensuring more years of health and the joy of life's daily moments. Number 4. Persistent itching on the chest or breast area. Ruth, a 69-year-old retired teacher, lived with a subtle itch on her right breast for several months. At first, she believed it was nothing more than irritation from her bra, or perhaps a reaction to laundry detergent. She tried switching to cotton fabrics, experimented with different soaps, and even stopped wearing a bra for a period of time. Despite her efforts, the itch returned every day in the same spot, unrelenting and unchanged. Because there was no lump, no rash, and no visible swelling, she convinced herself it was not serious. Only when a routine checkup revealed slight dimpling in the skin did her physician order further tests. The results showed an early but aggressive form of inflammatory breast cancer. Ruth often admitted later that her greatest mistake was not the itch itself, but her own assumption that something so small could never mean something serious. This type of experience is far more common than most people realize. Inflammatory breast cancer, as well as tumors close to the chest wall, frequently present not with the classic lump, but with irritation, itching, or subtle changes in the skin's texture. Medical research conducted at MD Anderson Cancer Center highlights that up to 20% of inflammatory breast cancer cases first appear as itching or rash-like symptoms before any mass is detectable. The skin may feel warmer, thicker, or slightly discolored, but in many cases, the only noticeable sensation is persistent itch that does not move and does not fade. The biological explanation helps us understand why. Breast and chest tissues are rich in lymphatic vessels and nerve endings. When cancer cells block lymphatic channels or grow close to the skin, they disrupt fluid balance and stimulate nerve irritation. This produces sensations of tightness, heat, or itching, even when the outer surface appears unchanged. Because the itch often stays localized in the same spot day after day, it is one of the most reliable clues that something deeper may be occurring. For men, this symptom can be even more easily dismissed. Male breast cancer is rare, but it does happen, and it often presents subtly. A small area of itching near the nipple, slight skin thickening, or a feeling of discomfort under the chest muscle may not draw attention, yet these signs should never be overlooked. According to data from the American Cancer Society, about 1 in 833 men will develop breast cancer in their lifetime, and delayed recognition contributes to later stage diagnoses. The lesson that emerges is both sobering and empowering. Itching in the chest or breast region is not always cancer, and in many cases it may be caused by skin sensitivity, heat, or minor irritation. However, when the itch persists for more than 6 weeks, does not respond to creams, and remains focused in the same place, it warrants a medical evaluation. Additional signs such as skin dimpling, redness, swelling, or warmth make it even more important to seek care without delay. The practical action is clear. Keep track of any unusual itching on the chest or breast area and share this information openly with a healthcare provider. Asking for a thorough clinical exam and, when appropriate, imaging such as a mammogram or ultrasound can provide peace of mind or lead to early intervention. For those with difficulty examining themselves, enlisting the help of a spouse, partner, or caregiver to observe subtle skin changes can be invaluable. The behavioral change to adopt is simple yet profound. Never dismiss persistent itching of the chest or breast as a minor nuisance. Awareness transforms hesitation into strength, and strength leads to protection. The body often whispers before it shouts, and in listening to those whispers, life and health can be preserved. Ruth's story is a reminder that vigilance is not fear, but an act of self-respect, granting more years of independence and shared moments with loved ones. Number 5. Persistent itching in the anal or genital area. It is one of life's quiet paradoxes that the places most uncomfortable to talk about are often the very places that demand the most attention. Persistent itching in the anal or genital region is a symptom that many older adults hesitate to mention, even to their doctors. The irony is striking. While conversations about digestion, sleep, or even memory are shared freely, the discomfort of discussing intimate areas leads to silence. Yet silence can be far more dangerous than curiosity. What seems embarrassing to bring up may, in fact, be the earliest clue of a hidden cancer. Medical literature has documented this connection for decades. Anal cancer, vulvar cancer, and penile cancer often begin with subtle signs such as itching, burning, or irritation in a localized area. According to the American Cancer Society, nearly 9,000 new cases of anal cancer are diagnosed in the United States each year, with incidence rising steadily among older adults. In many of these cases, the earliest symptom patients recall is an itch they thought was caused by hemorrhoids, hygiene, or simple skin dryness. Vulvar cancer, which primarily affects women over 60, has similar beginnings, a patch of persistent itch without a visible lump. The story of Eugene, a 76-year-old farmer, illustrates this point vividly. He endured nearly a year of constant itching in the anal region. He tried creams, adjusted his diet, and even used cold compresses, but the irritation always returned. Convinced it was hemorrhoids, he delayed seeking specialized care. When he finally agreed to a colorectal examination, a small lesion was discovered on the wall of the anal canal. It was an early-stage tumor. His delay had cost him precious time, yet his eventual decision to speak up still allowed for treatment and recovery. Eugene often told his peers later, "I was more embarrassed about the words than the itch, and that was my mistake." The science behind why these areas send signals is rooted in their sensitivity. The anal and genital regions contain a dense network of nerve endings and lymphatic vessels. When abnormal cells begin to grow, whether in the skin, glands, or nearby lymph nodes, they disrupt both nerve function and immune signaling. The result is a deep itch that feels raw or burning, often worse at night, and resistant to ordinary treatments. Unlike surface-level irritation, this type of itch is localized, focused, and persistent. The challenge is cultural as much as medical. In American society, older adults were often raised in times when private health concerns were not openly discussed. Generational modesty makes it easy to ignore or hide symptoms in these regions, but silence does not protect. On the contrary, early detection of cancers in these areas is closely tied to survival rates. The National Cancer Institute reports that when anal cancer is diagnosed early, the 5-year survival rate is approximately 82%. Delayed diagnosis significantly reduces that number. The essential message is safety through openness. Not every anal or genital itch indicates cancer. In many cases, the cause is dryness, infection, or irritation from hygiene products. But when the itch persists beyond 6 weeks, fails to improve with creams or hygiene changes, and especially when it is focused in one spot, it should be evaluated by a healthcare professional. Recording the pattern, noting whether it worsens at night, and being honest with a physician can transform discomfort into clarity. The behavior change to embrace is courage in conversation. The body deserves to be heard, even when the subject feels private. By overcoming embarrassment and choosing honesty, older adults give themselves the greatest gift, the possibility of early answers and timely care. The paradox then resolves into wisdom. What begins as an awkward topic can become a life-saving dialogue, proving once again that listening to the body, even in its quietest and most sensitive whispers, is an act of self-respect and love. Number 6. Persistent itching on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. What could be more ordinary than the urge to rub the palms together after a long day, or to scratch the bottom of the feet when shoes come off at night? At first glance, such sensations seem harmless, the kind of everyday discomfort dismissed as dry skin, pressure, or even a minor allergy. But when itching in these very specific areas becomes chronic, resistant to creams, and strangely unrelenting, it may be more than a passing nuisance. In older adults, persistent itching on the palms and soles has been recognized in medical research as a potential early signal of liver disease, bile duct obstruction, and, in some cases, pancreatic cancer. The biology is both fascinating and sobering. The liver and bile ducts work together to process and remove bile salts from the body. When this system is blocked by a tumor, infection, or inflammation, bile salts accumulate in the bloodstream. These salts circulate to the skin and irritate the dense network of sensory nerves in the hands and feet. For reasons not fully understood, the palms and soles are particularly sensitive to these chemical changes, and the first symptom many patients describe is an intense itching sensation. Unlike simple dryness, the itch feels deeper, sometimes burning, and often worse at night. A story shared during a cancer awareness seminar in Florida brings this truth to light. Margaret, a 71-year-old grandmother, complained for months of unbearable itching in her palms every evening. She stopped wearing her gardening gloves, switched soaps, and soaked her hands in cold water, but nothing worked. She assumed it was arthritis medication, irritating her skin. Only when her daughter urged her to see a physician did she undergo blood tests that revealed abnormal liver enzyme levels. Imaging later showed a small pancreatic tumor obstructing the bile duct. Because she sought help before jaundice and severe pain appeared, Margaret received treatment at an early stage. She now reminds her friends, "The itch told me before anything else did." Scientific studies validate Margaret's experience. Research published in the journal Gastroenterology reported that up to 25% of patients with cholestasis, a condition caused by reduced bile flow, experienced itching predominantly on the palms and soles. Another study conducted at the Mayo Clinic emphasized that persistent itching in these regions, when not explained by skin disorders, should prompt investigation of liver and pancreatic function. These findings highlight the importance of listening to what may feel like a minor symptom but can serve as an early signal of internal disease. The message for older adults is not one of fear but of empowerment and safety. Most itching in the hands and feet is harmless, often related to dryness, neuropathy, or minor irritation. But when it persists beyond 6 weeks, fails to respond to creams or lifestyle changes, and is concentrated specifically in the palms or soles, it is a signal that deserves medical attention. The action step is clear and practical. Keep a record of when the itching occurs, whether it is stronger at night, and how it responds to attempts at relief. Bring this information to a healthcare provider and ask directly whether liver function tests or imaging might be appropriate. Small blood tests can provide valuable reassurance or uncover early problems when treatment is most effective. The behavioral change to adopt is to treat the body's signals, even in the most ordinary places, with respect and curiosity. Persistent itching on the palms and soles is not a symptom to ignore or laugh away. It is a reminder that the body often speaks softly before it speaks loudly. By listening, recording, and acting early, older adults protect not only their health, but also the years of independence and family life that matter most. Number 7. Persistent itching on the inner arms and armpits. According to data from the American Cancer Society, more than 80,000 new cases of lymphoma are diagnosed in the United States each year. And in many patients, the earliest symptoms are not pain or swelling, but something far easier to dismiss, an itch. Among those who later learn they have a lymphatic disorder, a significant percentage recall experiencing persistent itching in the inner arms or armpits long before a lump was visible. This fact is both striking and important, because these regions of the body contain clusters of lymph nodes that are deeply connected to the immune system. When malignant cells begin to grow, the first signs are often biochemical, irritating nerve endings beneath the skin and creating a constant urge to scratch. This type of itching is not the kind that comes from heat, sweat, or shaving. It is deeper, more restless, and oddly unresponsive to creams or hygiene changes. Patients often describe it as a sensation that moves just beneath the skin, sometimes worse at night, and never quite relieved by scratching. For older adults, this can become frustrating, especially when nothing on the surface looks abnormal. Yet what is happening internally is that the lymph nodes are reacting to inflammatory chemicals released by abnormal immune cells. Consider the story of Thomas, a 74-year-old retired postal worker from Chicago. For months, he changed his shirts twice a day because of an itch under his arms that he blamed on deodorant or laundry soap. He tried dozens of products, even going without deodorant entirely, but the problem persisted. Finally, after encouragement from his wife, he visited his physician. Scans revealed enlarged lymph nodes consistent with early-stage lymphoma. His doctor told him plainly that his insistence on seeking care, despite the embarrassment of the symptom, may have added years to his life by catching the disease early. Scientific studies confirm what Thomas experienced. A review published in the Journal of the American Academy of Dermatology noted that localized pruritus in lymph node-rich regions such as the armpits is a frequently overlooked early manifestation of Hodgkin's lymphoma. In some patients, itching in these areas appeared 6 to 9 months before swelling could be detected by touch. This means that the body whispers its distress long before the disease becomes obvious. The message here is one of awareness and empowerment. Most itching in the inner arms or armpits is benign, caused by heat, friction, or minor skin irritation. However, when the itch is persistent, unexplained, and resistant to routine care for more than 6 weeks, it should not be dismissed. For older adults, particularly those who also experience night sweats, fatigue, or unexplained weight loss, this combination of symptoms deserves medical evaluation. The practical step is simple. Keep a journal, noting when the itch occurs, how intense it feels, and whether it worsens at night. Share these details with a healthcare provider and ask specifically about the possibility of lymph node involvement. A basic physical exam, blood work, or imaging can provide reassurance or uncover an early problem when treatment is most effective. The behavioral change to adopt is straightforward yet profound. Do not let modesty or hesitation silence the body's signals. Persistent itching in the inner arms or armpits may feel trivial, but history and science both show that it can be the first sign of something serious. Listening carefully, documenting consistently, and speaking openly with physicians transforms what seems like a nuisance into an act of protection. The lesson is clear. Awareness gives the power to act, and action preserves health, independence, and the precious gift of time with loved ones. From this video, one powerful truth becomes clear. The body often whispers long before it shouts. That whisper might come in the form of a small, persistent itch on your legs, your back, your scalp, your chest, or your hands. It may seem harmless, easy to ignore, easy to explain away. But for many older adults, especially over 60, that small signal has been the very first clue that something more serious was developing beneath the surface. These 7 itchy spots aren't about fear, they're about awareness and protection. Most itching is harmless, caused by dry skin, irritation, or minor sensitivities. But when an itch refuses to go away, lasts for more than 6 weeks, doesn't respond to lotion or soap changes, and seems to come from beneath the skin, it deserves attention. In many real cases, these early warning signs were the key to detecting lymphoma, liver disease, pancreatic cancer, or even breast and skin cancers early enough to save lives. The core lesson here is this. Listen to your body, write things down, speak up. Keeping a journal of when the itch occurs, where it appears, how long it lasts, and what you've tried for relief gives your doctor valuable information. Asking simple questions like, could this be something more, may lead to blood tests, imaging, or even early intervention that changes everything. You are not powerless. You are not too old or too late. In fact, you are right on time to start protecting your health in the most important way by paying attention. It's not fear, it's wisdom. It's not weakness, it's courage. The courage to say, this matters, I matter. If this video brought you value, don't keep it to yourself. Please share it with someone you care about. You might help someone catch a disease before it progresses. And if this is your first time here or you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to our channel right now so you don't miss any more life-saving videos like this one. We would also love to hear from you. What did this message stir up in you? What questions or experiences do you have? Leave a comment. We read every single one. Thank you for being here. We wish you peace, strength, and the confidence to keep showing up for your health, your heart, and your life every single day.